What do we have here? We got a box that has a knife in it. Oh, I was just at the shooting range doing some shooting, and I forgot to take off the little bracelet thing. Now, let's get to this. This is one of those knives that is so nice, I bought it twice. And we could do like a little song. So nice. See, I don't. Let me try. So nice, I bought it twice. The knife's so nice, I bought it twice. That's not bad.
Yes, it was bad.
So,
very bad.
This is a Kansept Model 6.
Don't do it again.
This one is super fancy with the Damascus, not scale, I guess frame on the show side. So somebody owed me a knife for a trade, and so it's a long story, but anyway, they owed me another knife, and so I asked him, what he had, and he had a Model 6, but this is like the budget Model 6. So we're going to get the budget Model 6. I'm going to open it. All right, well, I probably don't need the other knife to open it with, because it looks like it's just pretty much already open.
Show your address to the whole internet, I guess.
It feels like it's pretty heavy still. Whoopsie. That's really weird. Oh, I just pulled it.
Again with the address.
I just pulled the end of the box out of the box, so I just opened the box. All right, we got the regular little Kansept thingamajigger. We got the plastic thingy. We got this thingy. And we got the Model 6. Check it out. Okay. Big difference right away is not contoured. So the titanium one, or in this case the Damascus one, is contoured. I don't know if you can see the difference in the reflections, kind of. This guy's just a flat G10.
Not G10. Dyed micarta.
Well, the pocket clip isn't much different. They really tried to kind of keep it in a similar vein. Looks like the sizes are the same. Yep. Looks like the blade thickness. A lot of times when they do a higher end version and a budget version, they have the blades being different thicknesses. It looks like these guys have the same blade thickness, same blade shape. What is the blade material on this guy? Wow, that is a tough detent. Wow. Okay, a little blade stick or a little lock stick. Oh, wow. Wow, this one needs maybe some clean. Oof. Wow, that is some not great lock stick.
Unless you love lock stick, then it's great lock stick.
Okay, that time it didn't really stick. All right. Oof. Listen to that. Ooh, man, that was like a hard press to get it to go. And then it stuck real strong. Let's see. Definitely not drop shutty at all. Maybe it's over tightened. Let's see. Yeah. If it's over tightened, it's not much. Let's try loosening it just for the heck of it. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Okay. I think maybe it was a little over tightened, but that didn't really help the
No, the micarta shrunk when someone dyed the scales.
It is super off-center.
Because the scales are too small.
I think that's because it's too loose now.
And none of your adjustments will help.
It's only a hair loose. Let me try. If I tighten it up, does it take the off-centerness out?
I'll fast forward, since what you're doing is pointless.
It helped a little, but man, that is badly off-centered.
And boring as shit.
Super not smooth. That's super interesting. I wonder what the deal is with this guy. I got dropped on an airplane, or what the fuck happened to this thing? Wow, the lock stick is rough. So, one thing I can do to fix that lock stick is take it apart and take that lock bar and hit it with something, sandpaper, something a little bit more of a bevel one that has not put anything. That was probably perfectly straight on the end. And when it hits with the tandem blade and tries to lock into it, it kind of hits like this. I want to hit like this instead. So I'm going to put a little bit of angle on it. I think that'll make it a little nicer. But we'll see. It may or may not. But it's really strong too. It may use a little bit of bend outwards to be a little less strong.
None of that will work.
Unnecessarily strong. Well, I like the look of it. It looks just like the other one. So they're the same shape, same everything. Got a little backspacer just like this one does. Boy, it looks like they made it the same in every way, except for this one is a one-piece contoured frame, and this one is a scale over a stainless steel liner. So this is a liner lock, that's a frame lock. You can see the difference on the lock side. This one has a cut here that is right into the titanium of the frame, and this one has a thin frame, sort of, you could call it, but it's a liner underneath the scale, and then that's how that works. Boy, that is one of the most undrop shutty knives that I've ever messed with from Kansept. Usually Kansepts are pretty smooth. This guy is decidedly not smooth, and it's all about that lock bar, I think. Just really dragging hard on the blade. What is the steel? 154 cm. That's nice. That's some good steel, really. Not bad at all. Pretty impressed with the blade steel. I just need to get it smoothed out. And Center, Jesus Christ. That centering. Freaking crazy bad. So I'm going to get into it and see what's in there. Is it on bearings or is it on, almost looks like I see nylon washers in there. That would be weird. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to look in there and find out. We'll get this thing apart and then we'll see what it's all about. So it wasn't a nylon washer. It was a nylon bearing race, which it has some pretty nice looking bearings in it. That's a pretty large set of bearings, and they just look really nicely done. So I'm going to say it has really nice bearings. So it should be, a pretty smooth knife. This could be one reason why it's not super smooth. Look at the bend on that lock bar. Look how far in it goes. That is a crazy amount of lock bar bend. It's it's not crazy. It's not like way in here, but it's farther than it needs to be by, I don't know, the width of the lock bar plus another width of the lock bar. So if it could move over 2 widths to about maybe here, that would be about where it should be, not way over here. So it's a very strong lock bar too. The relief cut is there, but it's just really strong. Yeah, I don't know. So we're going to bend that back a little bit and put a little bit of an edge right there, kind of grind it just a tad. It looks like maybe somebody did grind it already. That's weird.
Not that weird. After they shrunk the scales, they ground the lock face and bent the lock bar further in to try to overcome the scale contraction issue.
I don't know. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll make it nice. And we'll see if it's any better. Holy shit, what an ordeal. So I took it apart because it wasn't very drop shotty. I was trying to figure out why. I still don't know exactly why it has this drag when it's dropping. One of the reasons seemed to be that, so it has an internal pin in the blade, and the pin goes through the blade and sticks out both sides, and it runs in a half moon track around each side and has to stop on this side and a stop on this side. So as it closes, that pin goes boop and stops there at the end of the track. And then as it opens, that pin goes and stops right there at the end of the track. How does an internal stop pin work anyway? There's your stop pin, and it goes through the blade. So it's a metal pin that goes through the blade, and it sticks out maybe a couple of millimeters on each side, and it runs around this track that's cut into the liner. And it could be cut into a frame also, but in this case it's a liner. And when it stops at this side, you can see it hit the bottom. So the blade can't go any further this way because it hits there, and the blade can't close again because now that little lock bar has moved over and it's up against the tang. Now the blade can't move this way or this way. Now when you open or try to close the knife, you move that lock out of the way. Now the blade can start to move. Then the pin hits the other stop. Now the blade's all the way down, and that same lock bar is pressing a little ball into a hole in the blade, and that's what keeps it from moving. That's the detent action. So that's why the blade won't just fall open. You have to give it some force to get it to move out. You can see that lock bar move out toward the scale as I pull the blade open. And that's what gives it the nice little ability to be flicked open, because it has that back pressure. It was rubbing on the micarta on the inside. The pin was too long, so I ground down the pin just a bit, but it didn't really help it. It's still a little draggy right in here, like from here to here. It's good. Right in here, there's some drag from something. Maybe it's the bearing race. I have no idea, man. It doesn't matter. So anyway, that's not even the main problem. The main problem was the pivot is getting pulled backwards, and these screws are getting pulled this way. Why? Because these micarta scales were dyed. Okay, they weren't originally black. They were tan, I think, or green. So they were sanded down. Well, maybe they weren't sanded down. I don't know. They were dyed. They were dyed black.
As I told you, meat bags never listen. Here's the original color.
So I thought it had a real weird finish, and I was going to just sand it a little bit to give it a little more grip and make it have something interesting look. And all of a sudden I sanded through it, and I get to this green color underneath, this kind of green color under the purple. The purple is something I added, so don't worry about that. Anyway, they dyed the shit out of it. They dyed it black. When they dyed it, the micarta shrunk a little bit. It happens.
No shit.
Especially if you leave your micarta on the bottom of the pan, sitting on the higher heat
Sherlock.
of the metal, not in just floating in the, like, so I use a little holder that holds the micarta up above the bottom of the pan so it doesn't get that direct heat from the heater, the element on the stove. I don't think they did. So when they dyed these scales, whoever did it, they shrunk a little bit. And when it shrinks, you can get it to go on there, but you got to fight to get the screws. And that's why the screw, I don't know if you saw that or not, but the screws were a bitch to get out. That's because they were jammed up. Everything shrunk, so the screw holes in the metal liner are not quite lined up with the screw holes in the micarta. So what I had to do was actually drill the holes out a little bit, all the holes, just out a little bit, so that it would stop pulling so hard, trying to crunch everything together when you screwed it all together. It was having lockup issues. It just had all kinds of issues, and it was all because of, or at least mostly because of these micarta scales shrinking and pulling everything toward the center. You would think, well, the metal liner should stop that because the pivot can't go any further back this way when it hits the back side of the hole. Because it's not exactly the same size as the hole, so it can move around a little bit in the hole, but that's what it does. It pulls all the way to this side of this hole. These screws pull to this side of this hole. These screws pull to this side of this hole. Everything gets pulled toward the center, just a hair, just a few thousandths, and it's enough to mess everything up. That's why it wasn't getting good lockup. The pivot's pulling this way, so the lock bar can't go in as far as it's supposed to, if that makes sense. But now, it's a little better. A little more drop shutty, but not much. Still needs to work itself in, I guess. But it's better. The moral of the story is, be damn careful dyeing your micarta. Just put them in there for a few seconds, pull them back out, see if the color looks good. If it doesn't quite look good, put them back in for a few more seconds, pull them out. Don't let them sit on the bottom of the pan. Okay, the heat will shrink them. It may even shrink them even if you do what I'm saying. So just be real careful in dyeing micarta. I've had this issue before with not even with a Kansept. It was with Vosteed. So different micartas from different companies will still shrink. But anyway, I like how it turned out. It's definitely better. Let's see, is it still lined up? Pretty close to dead center. No play. Yeah, maybe the tiniest bit. I'm going to leave it alone because if I tighten it anymore, it just takes away any drop shuttiness. Just makes it terrible. So anyway, we got it. Pretty good. Well, anyway, after I sanded off some of the black on the top, I left the black on the edges. Just sanded off the black on the top. Then I dyed it a dark purple just for a second. I literally put it in the dye just for a few seconds. And it wasn't boiling either. So if I shrunk it any more than it already was, I might have. But I didn't even think about the shrinking thing till after I did my dye job. So that's, I could have added to it, made it worse, but it was already dyed, and I think that's what the original issues were. Did I add to it? Maybe, because I wasn't thinking about that dye shrinkage until after I did it. And then when I went to put them back on, I was like, man, everything's going in tight, just like that Vosteed that I dyed, and I left the things on the bottom of the pan, and they overheated and got real small. So anyway, I love the Kansept, what the hell is it? Model 6. Maybe I want to get one more of these budget ones to see what they're like without anybody messing with it. Okay, so, or get a G10 one in, if they have it, get a G10 one in Jade, because G10 doesn't shrink when you dye it, at least not that I've ever seen. So, never has an issue dyeing. But I like cool colors like purples and weird blues and reds and weird stuff like that. So, this is a real dark purple. It is, excuse me. It isn't really that dark. It's this purple, but as soon as you get your hand, oils and stuff on it, it turns dark real quick. So, and also some of the beige is still, or not beige, tan, green, whatever the hell color it was before, is still showing through because I really didn't dye it for very long. I dyed it for just a few seconds, so it's a really light dye. Anyway, take all that for what it's worth. Cool story, bro. Have a nice day.